This week we'll be discussing AI and Apple's returns policy in the EU.
Windows rebooting IE and some Kickstarter money for iSkin.
Stick with us, it'll all make sense soon. Google Glass is helping autistic children and Snapchat's secret snap-ups.
We'll also be discussing whether or not Apple's software quality is in decline. And today we'll be starting with Apple. Apple EU have announced a 14-day refunds policy on the App Store.
Apple now has a 14-day return policy. The update to the legal terms and conditions on the Apple UK site states, right to cancellation, : If you would like to change your order, you may do so within 14 days when you receive your receipt without giving any reason, except iTunes gifts which cannot be refunded once you have redeemed the code.
And I mean, this is hugely generous to Apple users, and it completely dwarfs Google Play's merely 2-hour refund window, which was up from 15 minutes this quarter, we believe. Who plays their apps in the first 2 hours that you download it? I mean, I've had Infinity Blade free on my iPad for like 3 months now.
Yeah, you don't always buy a DVD and watch it the next second.
Exactly. And I think, they've taken this into consideration, they've acted upon it, and yeah, great feature, great job, Apple.
They actually had a really huge refund window over the festive period, but that's all in the past now, man. Doing the research for this, I actually came across Google's app refund policy, which says after purchasing an app or game on Google Play, you can return it within 2 hours for a full refund. If the return period has passed, we recommend you contact the app developer directly. You can find an app developer's contact information listed on an app or game detail page on Google Play. So that's pretty standard stuff, right? But this part got to me, right? Keep in mind, you can't return an app or game more than once. Did they have people trying it on before? Did people go, this game is so bad, I'm going to return it twice?
Well, if you want to learn how to upload your games to Dropbox to do this, then, we'll put a handy tutorial on the website. No, I'm joking. But you could do that. Theoretically, you could do that.
Let's not
teach people crime. Let's not dance with the devil here.
Right, from Google to Apple to Microsoft, who, by the way, I did look up their refund window, which is pretty much you're not getting a refund unless you have a lawyer. But, nobody cares. But here's something people do care about from Microsoft, and it's Microsoft launching their new web browser. So for years now, everybody's #1 most hated Windows preload crashtastic browser, if you can call it crashing at those speeds, it's more lightly bumping, has been Windows' crowning jewel. I am of course talking about Internet Explorer. However, it has emerged that Microsoft are developing a completely new, stripped down web browser by the name of Spartan for Windows 10, and hopefully for Android and iOS. This would be really good to see Windows have a little bit of a reprisal in the browser market, because at the moment, they're not even in the same town.
Yeah, that's it really. But Spartan, come on, a little bit cheesy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit.
What is it going to be, the 300 plugin?
300 plugins, yeah. The browser is said to be a lightweight application with a similar interface to Firefox and Chrome. It will support extensions and resources of sites as its launch will come alongside Internet Explorer 11, to be launched on tablet and desktop using Microsoft Chakra JavaScript engine and Microsoft's Trident rendering engine. So not WebKit, which means it will be not available for iOS immediately, but come on, Mozilla are doing it, all the cool kids are doing it, come on Microsoft, get in there. This could be the beginning of my prediction that I said about last week, that I think Microsoft will finally begin to come into the mobile operating market properly. Now, they've got this event on the 21st called The Next Chapter, which is a little bit pretentious, a little bit Apple. It's all about the launch of Windows 10, and I'm hoping that they're going to bring out a new OS, but hopefully we'll find out about this new phone they've been talking about, Belfiore, and it will be awesome to see Microsoft actually stepping foot in the mobile marketplace. So from one new operating system to another,
is Apple's software quality in decline?
See, my immediate answer to this is going to be no. I'll let you persuade me otherwise.
You let me, come on. You listen to this story here, Luke. This is a good one here. An operating system riddled with embarrassing bugs and fundamental regressions wasn't something Apple users in the past would have had to deal with. And just a few years ago, people like you, Luke, and Mark, actually, would have relentlessly made fun of Windows users for these same bugs on their inferior OS. But not anymore. A popular blogging programmer, Jeff Wozniak, went back to desktop Linux after almost a decade on OS X, and he wrote on his blog that at this point, my default position on Apple software in OS X has moved from probably good to probably not okay. they seem more interested in pumping out quantity by the way of more upgrades. It's death by 1,000 cuts, but it's death nonetheless. I mean, this is a really interesting point, actually. And I mean, I remember that the loss of the save as feature and it's changed to duplicate has been, I mean, it's a major pain for loads of users. You have to do like 10 more steps just to save as. And I mean, iOS 8 hasn't fared any better either. Apple completely botched the first update of iOS 8, effectively releasing software that rendered some people unable to make calls or even use their fingerprint sensors on the phones. I mean, who's ever heard of a smartphone that can't even make a simple phone call? You're better off with, you know, your Nokia 3310.
Yeah, it did brick it.
And let's not even get into upgrades. Because while the file for the upgrade from iOS 7 to iOS 8 only occupies about 1.2 gigabyte of storage, the download requires you to have 5.7 gigabytes of free storage. I mean, it's a joke, especially considering a 16 gigabyte iPhone 6 only actually has 13 gigabyte of space available to use, not the 16 gigabyte advertised, because the rest is taken up by the existing operating system and the pre-installed apps. So effectively, that means if you want to update without it being a complete pain in the backside, then you can only use 7 gigabyte of the 16 gigabyte storage you've paid for. What is that all about? So
I think a big part of what they're doing though is trying to move people over to cloud storage so they don't use the storage that's already on the phone. But I guess that only applies to files rather than actual apps. The apps, to delete apps just to install a new operating system is a very frustrating thing.
Exactly, it's crazy. I mean, I've even got a problem with the iCloud. I'm in a bit of a rant today.
All right.
The iCloud has started becoming incompatible with older devices if you're not running Yosemite on your Mac. So you've got your Mac paired up with your iPhone, you download apps through the App Store on your Mac, nice and simple, sync it all up. Nope, not if you've upgraded to iOS 8 and you don't have Yosemite. The iCloud Drive will now cut off all your apps from syncing with your mobile devices if you're not using iOS 8. I mean, what's all that about? So you've got to delete everything on your phone if you don't upgrade to Yosemite.
Yeah.
Upgrade to iOS 8, or then upgrade to Yosemite. They're forcing people to upgrade. These things are buggy. The adoption rate for iOS 8 has stopped at 47%. They boasted in the first 2 days that they had a 46% update rate. 2 weeks later, it increased 1%. iOS 8 still not quite there. I mean, I'm hammering Apple a little bit today, but there's a lot of, you know, these are fundamental problems, and it's such a shame because people really do. You know, they feel that Apple, it just works. I mean, that was a slogan, wasn't it, of Apple for so long. It just works. Well, now it doesn't. It doesn't, unless you're consumed by the Apple ecosystem entirely, which is a bit, you know, it's a bit sad. And I mean,
but what you're talking about here is not a decline necessarily in the software; it's a decline in the hardware when you don't buy the new one. Like the older versions get worse with the new upgrades, which is why they have this cut-off window anyway, or the update cycle as they call it.
Well, I mean, you could have an iPhone 6 with iOS 7 installed, not want to upgrade to iOS 8 because at the moment it is still unstable, and have all your apps cut off. So I mean, even if you're buying their latest system, you're still going to have the same problems. I mean, for me, it's an issue. And I mean, the health kit. I mean, we were psyched about the health kit.
Yeah.
Millions of people out there were psyched about the health kit. It doesn't do anything still. There's not really been any explanation with that. Oh, it's coming. When? That would be great. And I mean, talking about all this, a pair of Florida men have actually sued Apple for allegedly misrepresenting the amount of storage room available to owners of the 16 gigabyte iPhones and iPads. And they actually accused Apple of unfair, unlawful and fraudulent business acts or practices, including false advertising. And there's a chance this could become a class action lawsuit. You know, potentially thousands of people get involved with this. And I mean, I hope Apple can sort it out. Great company, great products, but come on, guys, this is where the important things is.
I guess it's because we expect 10 out of 10, 100% of the time from Apple. And sometimes when it slips down to those sort of, 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10, you just think this isn't the Apple I know.
Exactly.
It's not quite right. And it's
certainly with mobile devices. I mean, nothing comes close to Apple mobile devices, for me anyway. Yeah, that's my rant over actually, Luke. So,
cool.
sorry Apple, don't sue me.
Well, I can tell you're very passionate about that, so I thought I would cheer you up. And next up, I have this really cool story from Google Glass. There's an app being developed to help children with autism. Now, the company's name is BrainPower, who were founded by neuroscientist Ned T. Sain, who's a graduate at Harvard Medical School and Massachusetts Institute of Technology. A quote here says, "Since the autism disorder spectrum is so wide, BrainPower is initially focusing on children with moderate to high functioning autism, though it hopes it will extend its app's capabilities to other kids as well." Now, I can't really add anything to this article because I'm not really an expert or qualified in any way to speak about autism, but I highly recommend you check out the TechCrunch article about it. It's such a cool idea, using technology to improve people's lives with technology such as the Google Glass. But when it really takes off and becomes a much bigger market, these kids won't be standing out for wearing them. They will be normal kids, and hopefully they will be able to live normal lives.
They'll be the cool kids.
Yeah, they'll be ahead of
the cool
everyone else.
kids. Yeah, the cyborg kids.
Yeah. Like Robocop.
Yeah, Robocop, Robocool.
I don't know if Robocop's cool anymore. I think we might be a bit old.
Was, yeah, I think we are.
I like BrainPower, and BrainPower can be our friends, but keep your friends close and your enemies closer. It has emerged in the leaked Sony emails. Reports show that Snapchat have secretly bought up a Google Glass-esque company themselves. They commandeered the company for $15 million, which is barely a scratch on their $485 million raised in their last round of funding. The company in question is called Vergence Labs, who make fashionable black-framed smart glasses that record video and upload the files to cloud storage of up to 8, 16 or 32 gigabyte of space at prices between $300 and $500. At the moment, there's no way to take photos on the glasses, but you can use their software that they will sell you. They can take screen grabs of the videos. Something I didn't know is they've actually bought a company called AdLive, which is a video company themselves, only last May. So Snapchat may be launching a new video service, who knows?
That's really interesting, actually. I think a Snapchat video service could do pretty well. I mean, you know my opinion on Snapchat. I'm sure all the listeners, okay, everyone in the world knows my opinion on Snapchat by now. But they are very popular for this kind of thing. And the prices of these Vergence Labs fashionable black frame smart glasses is pretty good. I mean, $300.
Yeah.
And if third-party apps are compatible with this, or whether now that Snapchat have bought them, that they're going to install their own apps or maybe their own software on this, and they're going to make something that, you go to a party, for example, you wear these glasses, it records the night, uploads stuff, tweets it. You could say to your glasses, tweet picture of Jimmy throwing up. I mean, it's pretty interesting.
See, that's a really big issue with the whole Google Glass and these whole glass cameras on your face kind of thing. People don't like their privacy being infringed, and to constantly have a camera in your face is a really intimidating thing. And, celebrities will tell you it's not very nice to just have a camera shoved in your face all the time, no matter how discreetly it's done.
I think that's why the more discreet versions of these products we're seeing. I mean, the Google Glass is like you say, it's two in your face. It's clearly, there's a camera on someone's face, in your face. I don't know what the Vergence Labs glasses actually look like.
It's pretty impressive. It just looks like a pair of Ray-Bans, and then at the front where you have that sort of silver dot, that's the camera. So they don't look bad. They look quite nice. They're not terrible. They're a good design.
Yeah, so they might actually get away with it. It's kind of like camouflaging the kind of camera option of it and the whole privacy thing. And people, I think initially, will be resistant to it. And then as they get used to the idea of, oh yeah, we're filming each other with our smartphones anyway, let's film each other with our glasses, because all the hipster kids are wearing these kind of clear framed glasses anyway that they don't need. Let's stick some technology on them.
So that was $15 million, but if you'd like to help somebody gain $2 million, here's how you can help.
So we love our startups and we love our crowdfunding. So we're going to do a little section on it on today's show. And iSkin have raised $2 million for their iPad cover that turns your handwriting into a digital document. The French startup that previously raised just under $350,000 on Kickstarter built an iPad cover that digitises whatever someone writes onto a piece of good old-fashioned paper. And they've recently announced that they've received $2 million in seed funding, which is absolutely excellent. Congratulations to them. The device, called an iSketchnote, is a connected iPad cover in which you can attach any old piece of paper and write and draw with the iSkin's special pens. The cover digitises the writing or drawings in real time, so you can watch them appear on screen, which you can then also edit, save, and share from your iPad with the iSketchnote app. And I think this is really neat. Is that iSkin's pens, they're not electronic. They're not this feeble piece of stylus. They're actually a regular pen or a regular pencil with a magnetic ring attached that enables the cover to pick up what you're doing.
Oh, so it does have to be their pen.
It does have to be their pen.
You can't just pick up a Bic.
You can't just pick up a Bic, but you might be able to get these magnetic hoops to attach to pens. You know, kind of like when you get the customised erasers on the top of the, you know, you can get one of those little trolls and you stick it in them. Well, maybe we'll have something like this, but a little bit more tech-worthy. I mean, I think it's great. I think they're doing really well. Have a notebook. I doodle in it. I write loads of stuff, and it'd be great if it saved all them.
I love that not everybody in the world's going to get a Moomin Troll reference.
You know that,
like
you know.
it's
like Moomin Troll, It's just one for the 90s kids out there, you know. Yeah, I mean, well, we're going to one of the biggest events in the world, aren't we? For wearable tech, augmented reality, and the Internet of Things in March later this year at the Excel Centre in London.
Yeah, it's actually called the Wearable Technology Show. A fitting name, as I'm sure you'll agree. So we hope to see you there.
Yeah,
we will be flying about. Get to know our faces via our website and come and say hi.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what do you want to see there, Luke?
I want to see, there was this thing in their advertisement where they were putting circuit boards and just random phones that aren't waterproof in water and showing you that water resistant covering. I thought that was absolutely incredible.
That was amazing, yeah. They'd applied some kind of water resistant coating to a Raspberry Pi. I mean, this was a bare circuit board. They were dunking it in water, they were dunking tablets in, phones, like literally anything you can imagine. Things that obviously aren't waterproof. I mean, the guy even goes so far as to pour orange juice over his watch while he's wearing it.
Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be fun. It's going to be good. I really want to see some augmented reality stuff. Because, I mean, they've got AR arcades in Australia at the moment. They're kind of testing them out. I want to get involved with that. I want to be running around fighting dragons with my real body.
Yeah, like a Laser Quest kind of thing, but with more virtual reality. That sounds really good. I mean, the thing that I'm really holding out for here is the Force. So as soon as they get, as soon as they make a digital version of the Force, I'm happy. You do that.
Well, I just had a great idea actually. We could remove the rings from the iSketchpad and put them in your fingers, and then you can do finger painting on paper, and it'd be digitised.
Yeah,
finger painting for kids.
Yeah. Is it multi-sensitive then?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It will be now. So iSketchpad, you know, if you need an innovator, just come speak to us. Come speak to us. We can give you loads of ideas.
We have about 5,000 ideas a day, so if anyone wants to take us on.
Now, we've got a pretty cool section here about artificial intelligence, AI, the future overlord of the human race.
Yeah, okay.
And it's starting with the Google Brain. It's not officially called the Google Brain.
It's called Skynet, isn't it?
Yes, it's called Skynet, yeah. Well, this experimental Google software created using simulated artificial nerve cells, I mean, come on, if that's not sci-fi enough, is now able to describe complex scenes using complete sentences. So, in English, it can look at a picture and tell you what it is. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool, yeah.
I mean, I'll give you a real-life example of what this system has done. When it was showing a photo of a game of Ultimate Frisbee, the software responded with the description, a group of young people playing a game of Frisbee. I mean, this is just it being showed in image, and the software can even count, giving answers such as 2 pizzas sitting on top of a stove top oven. That's amazing. That really is amazing. I mean, one of the most interesting points for me is that no one at Google actually programmed the software with these rules on how to interpret the photos. You know, this isn't programming. Instead, the network learned by consuming large quantities of data, which were essentially tens of thousands of images with descriptions written by real humans. And I mean, there's hopes of this technology. Not only can it lead to better image search, because I mean, there's the drop-in image search now on Google, which I've been using quite a lot. It's pretty good. You download something, or you just find something on a website. You're like, oh, what is that? What is that iPhone accessory gadget thing? Grab it, chuck it in Google, job done. It'll tell you exactly what it is. But I mean, the most interesting part really is that there's going to be apps developed to help the visually impaired. So it can describe what scenarios around them Maybe we'll have Google Glass for blind people, which tells them what's going on around them.
That's an absolutely fantastic idea. I really do think that you can't underestimate how incredible this is. A learning machine which can tell you what's around it. That is a complete game changer, and if that's not one step away from going back in time and killing Sarah Connor, I don't know what is.
Well, you know, talk about the rise of the machines. The next story is that robots can now learn to cook just like you by watching YouTube. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
By watching YouTube.
Now's your time to put your bad tutorials up. Stop the revolution. Yeah, so it learns how to do cooking by watching YouTube. That's one step above me, really. How's it work?
And me, actually, Luke. Well, effectively, by using a new type of artificial intelligence called deep learning, researchers have come up with a new way to teach robots how to use tools, not just cooking, by watching videos on YouTube. Okay, so basically deep learning is a way of training artificial neural network systems, like the one from Google we've already mentioned. It's the same technology to create new information in response to large sources of data taken from human-friendly input, such as audio, video, and images. So, I mean, effectively, this enables computers to understand and interpret the world around them in the same way that we do, which most importantly isn't ones and zeros.
Okay, but does this thing have a body? Does it have like a Baxter? If you don't know Baxter, by the way, definitely look up the word Baxter robot. It's amazing. Does it have like a sort of body so it can operate this, or does it just learn how to do it and then like keep the information?
Well, at the moment it's a disembodied consciousness.
Okay.
I'm going to call it consciousness. It's actually a combination of two brains, which is, I think this is amazing. One of them was used to interpret images into mathematical formula, which it then feeds to the second consciousness, or the second brain, which turns that mathematical formula into words that humans would use, or the complex sentences used to describe them, what we understand. So it's like different parts of your brain communicating together to, you know, create ideas, to complete complex actions, and this is exactly what this machine is doing. I think it's amazing.
That is T1000-esque.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, you know, we're talking about machines here taking over. Well, a company called Seeing Machines wants to use cameras and software to make sure you're focused on driving.
Oh, Cameron, you're scaring me here, man.
I know.
So now we've spoken about driverless cars before, but an Australian company called Seeing Machines has hopes to use sensor technology to focus on drivers themselves in the hope that it reduces distracted and drowsy driving. The company is using cameras and software to detect eye and facial movements so that it can alert drivers who become inattentive due to either drowsiness or distraction. I definitely agree that this kind of technology is set to become the more common, especially as cars become more capable of driving themselves in certain areas. I think a lot of this you would expect for lorry drivers maybe freight drivers.
Yeah, definitely. I think we need this for lorry drivers because Campaign for Better Transport have announced that lorries are involved in an increasing percentage of fatal traffic accidents on Britain's roads, and new analysis has shown that in 2012 HGVs, you know, effectively lorries, was it
Heavy goods vehicles.
Thank you. Heavy goods vehicles, what am I on? Were involved in more than half of fatal motorway accidents and 1 in 5 fatal accidents on A roads, which is a continuing trend that has been increasing for the last 5 years. I mean, that's scary. That's scary. Over half have involved a lorry.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's just down to drowsiness in general, because the drivers have to go a long distance. Obviously, it's a really laborious job driving down the same roads, motorways that last absolutely hours, that kind of thing. And I don't think people are going to trust self-driving to actually take freight for a long time. Yeah. But to actually have something that keeps the drivers attentive to their driving, or less lackluster, I guess,
yeah,
then it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's like assisted driving.
Assisted driving.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Cruise control.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have, rather than full-blown autopilot, we'll have this assisted driving. Maybe when people reach a certain level of drowsiness, certain controls kick in, the acceleration goes down a bit, there's a warning that says pull over, pull over, pull over, whatever. But yeah, I think we'll see the rise of assisted driving rather than driverless cars, which will eventually, you know, in the grand slippery slope, or the spiral as they call it, bang, driverless cars, T1000, end of the world.
A digital co-pilot.
Digital co-pilot, oh, I like that, that's really good.
I know, I'm pitching that next week.
Well, I mean, this is pretty cool that Lexus have actually been offering their own built-in systems for tracking drivers' attention as an option on a small but growing number of their cars. I had no idea of this until I started doing a bit of research on Seeing Machines. And I mean, the Seeing Machines works by just a small infrared camera fitted on your dashboard to measure a number of things, including your eyeball rotation. I mean, that's pretty crazy. And it even detects where the driver's line of sight intersects with objects around them. I mean, that, for me, is probably the most clever part of the technology. It can tell what you're looking at. It can tell where your attention is, and then use the car's built-in computers to work out what you're looking at.
Well, it'd be good if you could have... Now, this is just an absolute thing I've picked out from the top of my brain. It would be good if you had an intelligent windscreen. So when in England you take a driving test, you go through this thing called hazard perception and awareness testing, which is the later half of our theory test on our driving licence. It'd be really good if you had on your windshield, on your windscreen, a display that is aware of hazards around you and highlights them maybe in a light red or whatever. So, you know, it can detect if children are playing in the road, it can detect if there's a car that looks like it could pull out too quickly.
That I really like. That's like Google Glass for the windscreen.
Yeah.
Windscreen, Google screen.
Yeah, it seems like a bit of a waste of energy, but...
No, I think it's good.
It seems like a bit of a waste of energy, but maybe it would save so many lives it's worth it.
Yeah. And if we could incorporate that in unbreakable iPhone glass technology, this is the future. But yeah, I mean, the Seeing Machines software can actually determine the amount of time a driver spends looking at the dashboard, car mirrors, road and elsewhere, which it can then use to help judge whether the driver is paying attention to traffic or whether they're starting to doze off, which is, yeah, pretty amazing. And it's even been recently announced that General Motors will be installing 500,000 cars with eye-tracking devices from Seeing Machines over the next 3 to 5 years.
I mean, as soon as General Motors get on board with any of this kind of thing, it's going to happen. So that's the first step in it, really, and we're just highlighting it.
Yep, absolutely. We've talked about driverless cars, we've talked about AI taking control,
Yep.
and we've spoken an awful lot about Uber in the past, so let's bring Uber into it.
Oh my goodness.
There's now...
I saw so many articles about Uber this week. I was just like, I was so intimidated by it. I was like, nah.
Well, I thought, you know, we can go with something a little bit different this week. This is my headline here, Luke. An app created the fleet of Uber drivers, so maybe it's going to take an app to control them.
Ooh.
Not bad, eh? Not bad.
That's some Matrix stuff right there.
Or at least to check if they're driving safely. The app Zen Fleet has been launched by a company called Zen Drive, who aim to use smartphone data to assess if a driver is acting safely. So this is very, very similar to what Seeing Machines has done, but it uses the inbuilt sensors on your iPhone or on your smartphone. Absolute genius. The technology interprets the data from your phone sensors to determine the driver's caution, control and focus while on the road. The data includes accelerometers, GPS, the use of phone while driving and other unspecific feeds that are interpreted via machine learning. Lots of machine learning going on, isn't there?
The company said the app doesn't touch any personal data on the driver's phone, like text messages or phone numbers.
It's good for privacy.
The Zen Fleet's SDK can be integrated within a partner company's app or available as a standalone app. A dashboard allows the fleet manager to track drivers and real-time communications will be sent via alerts and SMS. After studying driver data records, they developed a powerful algorithm and statistical model to highlight behaviour patterns for accidents. Things like hard brakes, aggressive turns, swerves, tailgating, sleeping at the wheel, phone use, and flooring it all start popping up, he said, helping build a safety fingerprint for the driver.
See, that's really clever actually. Use the iPhone, use what people have already got. I mean, because the company pointed out that in traditional fleets of vehicles, there already exists expensive hardware-based telematic solutions, but the on-demand fleets like Uber don't need and they don't want the hardware-based solutions because they're not cost-effective. An Uber driver isn't going to pay out thousands for some inbuilt dashboard, hardware, telematic super device, are they? I mean, I know I wouldn't, it just doesn't make sense. And I mean, Zen fleets are already currently being used by a large number of ride-sharing, valet parking and other on-demand car services, including Redcap, Hop, Skip, Drive and Dash Ride. So Uber, you know, get on board. Zen Drive have actually been developing the service for more than a year, and they've said that it's complementary to Uber and Lyft and the like, and that they'd like to partner with them.
Additionally, he indicated that third-party operations for safety tracking adds more credibility to the driver's service and reputation and their insurance policy.
I'd definitely agree with that actually. I mean, if Uber had their own built-in driver safety recording mechanism, it would be in their interest to make the drivers look good.
Yeah, it would, definitely.
Yeah, so let's keep it third party.
So moving on from Uber to Twitter, now Twitter have finally brought native tweet activity analytics to the iOS app.
Expanding the tweet activity dashboard analytics features to mobile, Twitter have now introduced the view tweet activity option for iOS app users.
Users can click on their tweets to get a details page and then tap to view tweet activity to see details such as how many people are engaging with their tweets in real time, compare their Twitter activity over real time, and see how their tweets are trending.
It also enables them to see a detailed view of any tweets with the number of retweets, replies, favourites, follows, or even clicks it receives.
Now previously the tweet activity dashboard was only available to Twitter advertisers, but you can get started by logging into analytics.twitter.com with your username and password.
So Twitter analytics for everybody. Excellent.
Yeah.
I'm going to be using some of that.
Yeah, definitely. And if you'd like to follow us, we'll be putting out some of our analytics to show you exactly what we do and how we do over at iOS App News 24.
Oh, the gauntlet is on. The challenge awaits. Well, actually, we had an amazing 45 respond to Chirps on our last show. I mean, Chirps, that's a little known app, so that's absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much. You are our chief appeneers. That's our new name.
Appeneers. I like that.
Yeah, that's what we're going to call our listeners. Do you reckon? I know you just said that to me, but...
Appeneers. No, that doesn't work. So we're going to wrap this up before we start going into absolute gobbledygook, but we'd just like to say a big thank you to...
CJ Kimber, who on the 2nd of January left us a really nice feedback on iTunes that said, "Been listening for a few months, really enjoy this, good work guys." Thank you very much, CJ Kimber. You're our new appeneer, chief appeneer. We're going to promote you to lieutenant even.
If you would like to become an appeneer yourself, make sure you rate us on iTunes, and we will see you next week. I've been Luke Besson.
And I've been Cameron Norris.
And this has been Up to Date. Are you in a virtual reality? No.
That's what it says on the tin.
Oh my goodness. Right, let's get on with Up to Date. This week we'll be discussing AI and Apple's return. Ah, damn it.
I'll do the same now. That's my input.